Well, I've been following the events of this weekend with respect to the ongoing unrest across America, and I have to say that the left was awarded a victory in Austin last night. Um, they got an actual casualty, a death on their side from some random guy who started shooting into their crowd. Now, of course, we have no idea what this person was doing, or what they did. They might just be mad because people were blocking the road and started to start shooting folks. But of course, they're declaring this was a Nazi politically targeted attack. And this person was, of course, a Nazi. We know that. That's confirmed, of course. And considering how much traction they've been able to get off of the one person who was killed at the stupid Charlottesville thing a couple years ago, I mean, they're still making documentaries about it. I mean, one person gets killed on their side, and they whine about it for years and years and years. Meanwhile, you have something like the congressional baseball shooting, which is out of the news cycle in a week. Actually, I guess I shouldn't even assume that people listening to this know what that is. If maybe you don't even remember or never heard about it. There was a Bernie bro who went and shot up a bunch of Republican members of Congress who were practicing for the congressional baseball game that they have every year. They, of course, weren't blocking any streets. They were, in a baseball field somewhere, probably at a park. But anyway, back to the what happened in Austin. This is not surprising. I mean, if your whole protest strategy is just to start walking out in the middle of public streets and blocking traffic, eventually you're going to piss somebody off. And I'm not necessarily going to go out on a limb and say that this is a political act so much as it is road rage. And that's something that you have to deal with. I mean, even if you're in a car and you're driving on the road and you're driving a little too slow, you invoke people's road rage. There are road rage incidents every day across America, and I'm surprised that there haven't been more with all of these people blocking highways and stuff. Now, I guess there are some people trying to defend this driver and say that they I guess were attacked by the protesters, that they struck first and surrounded the car. From what I've seen, the footage, they were walking down one road, and this person came at the intersection, decided to make a right, onto the road, onto the road that the people were walking on. And so I don't think this person was avoiding conflict. It very much looked to me like they were pissed off, and they wanted to teach these folks a lesson about walking in the street. And so this isn't like the many cases we've seen before where someone is just driving and then all of a sudden in the middle of the road there's people, standing there and they have to slam on the brakes, and then when they slam on the brakes and stop, these people come up and start pounding their car. This doesn't look like it was one of those cases, and in fact this looks like it was a much more vanilla group. This wasn't Austin, Texas. They seem to be normal protesting type of people. Of course, I think it was still an illegal protest since they were marching in a public street. But my point is to say that I think if you wanted to avoid conflict in this situation, you certainly could have. And there were other cars there that didn't look like they were being assaulted by the protesters, rioters, which, again, I don't even know in this case because I'm not familiar with this group in Austin, if they've been rioting. I haven't heard much about Austin, so maybe these people have just been doing their normal somewhat peaceful stuff. And I say somewhat peaceful because if you're standing in the road blocking traffic, it's not exactly I wouldn't call that entirely peaceful. It's not as bad as smashing cars, but it's not like you're standing in a public park or on a sidewalk somewhere holding a sign, minding your own business. So apparently this car pulled into the crowd and then started shooting out at people and shot like 7 people. Now, we don't have the best footage. We can't see close up. It's not like we have a body cam footage from the driver or whoever was shooting. So we don't know the full story, but I'm pretty comfortable saying, based on what I've already seen, that this person was looking for a fight, certainly. But again, this is not something that you can be surprised about, and this is probably my biggest complaint with the left going on with all of the rioting that they've been doing. Is it's not so much that that they're doing it that bothers me, because I could at least, while I don't respect it, but I could at least understand what they're doing. What really pisses me off is when they do all this and then, act like spoiled children when there's literally any pushback against them. When you have angry mobs engaging in, violent forms of political activism, also known as terrorism, you have to accept that there are going to be some people who fight back against you and push back, even if you specifically are not the one who did some bad things. You as a group, all of you guys, are acting as a mob, and so people are going to treat you as a mob and beat you back in kind. And so far, the response of the public and of law enforcement has been incredibly tepid. These people should have been expected they should have been expecting that road rage was a risk the first time they decided to block a highway and slow people down in traffic. We have roads for a reason. People driving on roads have places to be. And when you say, no, I'm just going to block your path because I have some, political agenda that I care about, that I want to get through, and this is your problem now, it pisses people off. It makes them not be very sympathetic to you. That's not how you get people to sympathize to you. If you want people to listen to you, don't try and make their lives harder. If you don't want to get arrested, don't throw fireworks at a courthouse. If you want to engage in acts of revolution, then you need to, man up and act like an actual revolutionary. You think friggin' Lenin was out there going, oh, the Tsar's cops beat me with a nightstick. If you really want to overthrow the U.S. government and replace it with full communism or whatever it is you dream of, you're going to have to toughen up. You can't just say, hey, we're going to burn down a courthouse and expect the feds to do nothing. If you incur their wrath, you have to accept the consequences. And, since the cops have been so tepid in all these cities with respect to the riots and things and the illegal forms of protest, which I don't, because I don't quite want to call blocking a road a riot. But it is still something that, you should not be doing for a reason. Because other people have a right to drive on those roads. But when the cops do nothing and citizens have no recourse left, eventually you're going to push certain people who are on the margins of society, people who maybe aren't entirely mentally stable to begin with, you're going to push them over the edge. And you're going to incur their wrath. And then you have lone nuts driving into crowds and shooting people up because he's mad. Okay, because people eventually will get sick and tired and then they won't take it anymore. I'm not saying that sort of vigilante justice is right. I think that people who should be, people should receive a proportionate punishment if they commit a crime, and you shouldn't punish people as a group. Those are basic principles of mine. So I don't endorse driving into crowds and shooting them up, but I can't be surprised that this happens, and neither should you. If you can't accept the risks associated with your actions, then you need to sit down and shut up. Now, in addition to the shooting in Austin, I should point out that there was a shooting in St. Louis, an accidental discharge by one of the members of the Not Effing Around coalition, who shot three of his, compatriots, three other, NFAC members. But to my knowledge, nobody was killed, and that was not an act of malice. He just, I guess, decided to walk around with a round in the chamber and, somehow flipped the safety off and shot somebody. Not a smart thing to do, if you ask me. If you're going to do some kind of open carry like this, and if you want to have a loaded mag in there, at least carry it condition 3. No round in the chamber. And yes, I know that an AR mag will not seat if you have 30 rounds in and with a closed bolt. Just, download to 29 rounds. Put the thing in there, you're fine. You've got the look, you're not going to be, you're hopefully not going to be engaging in any sort of battle, and you know what, if you do, you'll have a couple seconds to friggin' charge the action. Okay, so don't risk, shooting a couple of your buddies, okay? Really, I don't know if I could, even if I had those political beliefs, I don't know if I could be a leftist because they're so damn cringy. I mean, I can't imagine what the response would be from the public and from the media and from the police if you had right-wingers, storming courthouses and blocking interstate highways and all of this. I mean, there would be absolutely zero tolerance for any of that. And, I would expect that. My response to that would be, well, that was a dumb idea, going and blocking roads. Of course, they're going to bust some skulls if you go and try and block the interstate or smash a courthouse. And I would be embarrassed as a right-winger to see people do that. Whether you think that, whether you have respect for the federal government or not is irrelevant. That's just a dumb idea. The optics are bad. You're not likely to get a good result. There's no upside. Yet the left does it, and we're supposed to feel sorry for them. And they're also shocked when somebody beats them back a little bit. I see videos of these whiny babies screaming and crying out as they're being arrested by the police, screaming at the top of their lungs. I mean, they're just absolutely deranged. So that's pretty much my message. If you are leftist listening to this, please man up a little bit. So with that said, if you gain anything of value out of this video, I'd appreciate you clicking that like button and sharing this video. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe, because I do upload every day and I'd hate to have you miss one. So I'll see you folks back here tomorrow.